Okay, good evening, everyone. I think we'll get started now. Welcome to our Pecha Kucha for the Haskayne MBA Alumni Alliance in partnership with the Haskayne School of Business. My name is John Pitchko. I will be facilitating the discussion tonight. First, let me just share some of the agenda, what we're going to be doing tonight. First of all, we'll have some introductions from myself and just explain the format of the event tonight. We'll have a message from the leadership of the Haskayne MBA Alumni Alliance, just to share what the Alliance is all about and how folks can be part of it. And then we'll get into our main event. We have two speakers tonight for our Pecha Kucha, Jane Zhang and Anna Lakakova. Finally, we'll have something called an open ask. This is something that I thought might be kind of a fun way, instead of, obviously, since we're all virtual, we can't do the typical networking event. But I think for alumni of Haskayne or current students, I think most people will agree that some of the best value that you'll get from completing your program and from studying at the Haskayne School is the network of people you meet, not only within your own class, but also from alumni of all different years from the school. So I thought I might just take a couple minutes and just put open the floor and invite everyone who's got something to ask for, connection or whatever, to make that request. And then finally, we'll have a conclusion and wrap up the evening. I think we'll be done somewhere between about 5:30 and 5:45, so you can expect us to be done by then. So first, let me just introduce what we're doing tonight. So this is our first of what I hope are many Pecha Kucha. This is a pilot, so I hope it works well. I hope everyone has a good time and learns something new and is able to meet some new folks here. But being a pilot, we haven't really done this before. We did practice and it worked pretty well. But of course, with anything, the first time you do it might be a little rough, might have some challenges or whatever else. So please bear with us as we go through it. The Pecha Kucha format. So this is kind of a fun, casual way for sharing information and having a little presentation with that's quick and fun and has a whole lot less formality than kind of your typical speaker series. For folks that aren't familiar with a Pecha Kucha, it's a style of presentation where you go through 20 slides, 20 seconds per slide, and the slides auto advance. So each presentation should be between 5 and 6 minutes, or actually I guess just a little over 6 minutes. And they all contain lots of great pictures and no text and walls of text that we're all used to in our typical corporate presentations. So I hope everyone enjoys it, and I would love to hear your feedback afterwards. I will ask that everyone please mute your microphones, please disable your web cameras, not because we don't want to see your beautiful faces, but because we want to make sure that we prioritize all our bandwidth here for our speakers and no one's video or audio is interrupted or choppy because your kids are watching Frozen for the 17th time this month on their iPads. We have a chat box here. Please go ahead and send us questions or comments via chat. I have mine open, so please go ahead and share what you will there. We will have some Q&A after each of the presentations. So if you have anything you want to add or share or ask from our speakers, then that's a great time to do so. And lastly, we do recommend you turn on the active speaker view. So this way you'll be able to, that's kind of the best way to view the content and the speakers as it's happening there. So first, let me start. I'll invite Sue-Ann, our incredible chairwoman, president of the Alumni Alliance, who's going to talk a little bit about who we are and what we do and how you can get involved. So please, Sue-Ann.
Perfect. Thank you, John. I hope I'm not coming across as a little bit choppy. I did realize I had a little bit of problem. So Feel free to text me, John, if I'm coming up choppy. Miriam is going to take over if we have technical issues. So, hi everyone. My name is Sue-Ann Fujancic, and I am the co-chair of the Haskayne MBA Alumni Alliance. I share this role with Miriam Ortega. I hope you can do a virtual wave or a quick peep in terms of hi, so people can see her.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, perfect. There we are. So we have the honor of actually supporting a fantastic board of MBA alumni who want to make the most out of the post-MBA experience to be as great as their MBA experience. So welcome to our first virtual event. In the past few years, we have held a large speaker or panel networking events at hotels to kick off the school year. But due to COVID, we've kind of had to pivot on how we get the new MBA students and our alumni groups connected. A shout out to John Pitchko, our MBA Alumni Alliance board member, who led the organizing and execution of this fabulous event. We'd also like to thank the Haskayne Alumni Office, Jen Moen and team, who supported us in taking this whole event virtual. So before I give the mic back to John and to introduce our speakers, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about our Haskayne MBA Alumni Alliance. As you can see on the slide, our mission is really to inspire our Haskayne MBA alumni to help each other succeed professionally and personally while adding value to their communities. We do this by having 3 core values, by connecting, growing, and giving back. There's more details on that if you read the slide. But we are always looking for ways to connect alumni together. So in addition to kicking off the fall semester and helping alumni meet new MBA students, we usually have a Christmas ugly sweater contest, a volunteer or family event after the holidays, and a stampede mingler to kick off the rodeo season. So if you're interested in learning more, or better yet, joining our Haskayne MBA Alumni Alliance, feel free to reach out to Miriam or myself or any member of our board. So to learn more, you can contact us on Facebook. You can link in Miriam or myself personally, or email haskaynemba.aa@gmail.com. Thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoy tonight's event. Back to you, John.
All right, Sue-Ann, thank you very much. And let's go ahead and get into it. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to introduce Jane Zhang from ETCH Sourcing, who will be our first speaker tonight. For every Pecha Kucha, there's usually some sort of topic that our speakers will present on. And of course, what better topic than COVID-19, and really talking about how dealing with this global pandemic has affected folks in our alumni or student groups here, and how they've used it to try to get things done, change people's thoughts, or otherwise. So really, what if any benefits came about through this pandemic? So Jane, when you're ready, I will the slide.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, John. And I think we're ready to go.
Okay.
So hi, everyone. And I am so happy to be invited to join and share with you today. I know it's been a year of crazy virtual conferences. So this is the best I can do for hugs and handshakes. It is absolutely wonderful to see some of you again, see some familiar names, and also meet some new faces and new names in this case. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jane, and I'm the co-founder of ETCH Sourcing. We're a Calgary-based Canada-wide consultancy specializing in procurement and category management. And what that basically means is about 4 years ago, my co-founder and I, we actually started my company together in my parents' basement, which is a very cliche entrepreneur thing to say, because it's like every entrepreneur needs to start from a garage or a basement or some sort of hole somewhere. But my company basically works with other companies and organizations to really maximize the value from their spend. And what that basically means is we look at how organizations spend their money, we look at who they spend their money with, and we look at how they can do it in a more effective manner within the organizations and within their supply base, and also within the context of the greater world. So we didn't really start our company like a lot of typical industry turned consultants. We did not keep our well-paying industry jobs, and we basically just jumped straight in, both feet, and we started without a single client. So I guess you can say I'm no stranger to really uncertainty, and that's really helped this year. And what I've learned from my entrepreneurial journey is that, you know, human beings are much more resilient than we believe, and this is especially true in 2020, in our year of COVID. So for those that know me, I'm a very avid hiker. And there's really two moments in a hike that are my favorite. So the first is at the end of the hike, when you turn around, you see how far you've come. And the second is the point in each hike where you think you can't take another step. And that's really important because I think human resiliency is actually built on encountering these opportunities over and over again, and encountering those moments where you can't take another step, but you really have to because there's nowhere else to go. You can't just lie down on the mountain and hope that a helicopter rescues you. We don't have the resources for that, quite frankly. And I think that's really important in the COVID world because we really saw two ends of a spectrum. The first was really the ostrich reaction. So organizations that really stuck their head in the sand and they're waiting for a return to pre-COVID times. And the reality is the world's never going to return to pre-COVID times. The second is the people who got creative. And so this is a picture from the West Coast Trail. And what you don't see there is when the tide comes in, that whole bottom section actually disappears. So you can choose not to cross and wait for the tide to recede, or you can build a contraption like this that will take you across when the tide does roll in. And I'm proud to say that, for our organization, we are really working with a team of amazing individuals who rose to the challenge during COVID. And I'm really thrilled to share some of these learnings that we have experienced throughout this. So first is really, we got a better understanding of each other. When we put the call out for our team, we said, can we connect more team members? How do we stay connected during COVID? We learned a lot about each other's interests. We played games together. It was very cool. The second thing was, I was surprised by how my team was so active in bringing procurement to the forefront. We actually got involved in bringing PPE and addressing the PPE shortage in a lot of frontline workers and organizations within Calgary. And then the third thing is I really personally learned how resilient and stable my team is. So we paused our plans for opening Eastern Canada office earlier in this year because I had a misconception that the team needed me in the Calgary office to stabilize our operations. And COVID really opened my eyes to show me that my team was actually perfectly capable of operating with remote direction when we were all forced remote, and that I was working with some amazing, resilient human beings. And so as a result, what we actually ended up just doing this last month was opening up our Montreal office. We actually recruited during the COVID period, and we are still actively entering another recruitment phase. So we are completely a coast-to-coast, Canada-wide consulting agency here to disrupt procurement and consulting. So we've seen actually those types of same changes in the client environments as well. So clients that were previously very resilient to the idea of our blended remote and on-site model have actually reached out and said, hey, this is amazing. You guys had almost no adjustment because it does work, remote does work. And so that's really the message I wanted to share with you guys today. COVID-19 can feel like that constant uphill drudge, and we've been almost a full year in this isolated and challenging time. And it's starting to feel like, you just can't take another step. But I would challenge you to really flip that on its head and look at it from another perspective. These are the moments where you can take those challenges and build that human resiliency within yourself. Because truly, you really have no choice but to take that next step. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck on that mountain. And there's no helicopter coming to save us from this. And the truth is, once you've reached the top of the mountain, once you finish that hike, the view is absolutely stunning and absolutely amazing and worth it. And you're going to turn around, you're going to be amazed at what you can accomplish in all of that time. And that's it. That's all.
Wonderful, Jane. Thank you so much. I can't imagine trying to build a business, try to grow a business during COVID-19. You can't go meet people, you can't go for coffee, right? How on earth have you been able to find success in trying to get into other cities, other companies when it's just, you talk on your computer?
Well, it's funny and it's interesting. I think we underestimate the human desire for connection and the human desire to get things done, so to speak. And it is sometimes it can feel challenging. We got out to Montreal, and I think September 30th was the day that I was like, this is going to be perfect. We're fully ready. We've done all the preparation. The office is picked. Right, let's go out there and let's business development and let's BD, let's network, let's have conversations. And then October 1st was when Montreal entered Zone Red. So Montreal is completely shut down right now, which is why I'm actually back in Calgary. But it's actually, it presents different challenges to you in terms of reaching out and connecting to people in a virtual world. I'm definitely a very big proponent of that face-to-face. However, ultimately speaking, I think if you have a strong value proposition as an organization, people still have problems they need to solve. Organizations are still operating, and organizations still have challenges that need addressing, and they need strong partners and strong suppliers to be able to do that.
Now, what about the people side? 'Cause, I think you mentioned now or previously that you were growing your team and adding people. And I know from personal experience, and I'm sure many of the people here working with their colleagues, everyone's on different places in that spectrum between some people love remote working and remote teams, and some people really hate it. So what's making your team work? Like what seems to be the secret sauce? What did you look for? Or was it just happen chance that you happen to find people that work really well in this scenario?
It's not happen chance by any means. So I'd say there's really two big elements to the success. One is I have a phenomenal team. I wake up every morning and I'm very blessed to work with the people that I work with. And a lot of that is by design. We brought together the people that really fit that culture that we've grown within ETCH. And when you have that culture, and in terms of, if you think about any organization starting a job, whether you're physically there in the office or remotely there in the office, what's really going to bring you into that organization is going to be the culture of that organization, is going to be the team. And my team and the people that I work with are absolutely phenomenal when it comes to building and supporting each other. And so I think that's why we actually had a fantastic time actually hiring during COVID. And it was funny, we had our first gathering in the summer of a lot of 3 or 4 new hires, and none of us had met them. We'd worked with them for basically 2.5 months, and it was actually really shocking sometimes, because you think some people are taller than you imagine them to be, and some people are shorter than they actually are in person, but all you see is them on webcam. So it was actually pretty shocking. But at the same time, these are the people, when they started, they got so ingrained within the business, and then, seeing them in person didn't feel like they were strangers at all. And then the second thing is really, having that enablement for remote work. We'd always built ETCH upon the idea of having that combined remote and on-site work environment. So when we streamlined that, our teams were perfectly set up to take on that remote world challenge.
So culture eats strategy. Would you agree? Okay, wonderful, Jane. Thanks so much. I want to open it up to everyone here in the audience. Questions for Jane, thoughts, comments, ideas. Yeah, please feel free to share either via voice or in the chat. Abdul, yes, please. Thanks for raising your hand. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
All right. Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks, Jane, for your time. I actually checked your website before, I think a few years ago. No, sorry, before I started MBA. I'm first semester MBA. And I was wondering what kind of values, like how do you, like everybody writes whatever they want a lot of time, but how do you really judge in the interview process, like if they're the right fit or not, value-wise, I mean?
So I think we at ETCH, we really have 3 core pillars. So people, passion, performance. People is really centric to, how our people treat other people. I think that's very core to who we are. And that means the people that we work with from a client side perspective, the people that we work with from a team member perspective, and also from a supplier side perspective. And then, performance is really critical in terms of that, a capability to deliver for clients. But then the third thing I think is a very critical thing that we look for very extensively in our hiring process, which is passion. And for us, we're looking for people who have that spark, that energy, that little bit of craziness that kind of brings that to the forefront to say, I want to do more. I want to achieve. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm willing to take this chance, and I'm willing to drive and put my all into this. And that's why, when you bring people like that together, it just kind of creates a very awesome synergy and energy in our team. So, every time I see my team on calls, it's very, very energizing for me.
Thank you. That sounds good.
Yes, Abdul, thanks for asking that question. I have one in chat from Marwan, and Marwan asks, Jane, what do you consider ETCH's competitive advantage to be when disrupting existing procurement venues and services? So why ETCH?
Why ETCH? I say I had this conversation earlier today, and I said, I think we said it for 4 years. We are by definition a management consulting organization. We are by definition of, how businesses are classified, a management consulting firm. However, we don't see ourselves as a management consulting firm. We really see ourselves as extensions of our clients' teams, and we work as that. So when we started ETCH about 4 years ago, my co-founder and I we didn't subscribe to the idea of, these glossy, amazing, beautiful strategies that get built by consultants and then handed over to clients, and then they don't really get implemented. And the challenge with that is strategies are very time bound, and it hurts on both sides, because for clients, if they've sunk a lot of money into a strategy that might not be valid 6 months from now, but for consultants, you put all this work and effort and you know that that's the right direction to go, but your clients are really struggling to implement that. And so when we started ETCH, we really put the focus around creating lasting value, and lasting value in the sense that we want to deliver to our clients not just ideas about how they can improve their processes, but actually help them do that, and actually help them negotiate the contracts, actually help them get ink on paper, black and white text that says, hey, I'm actually going to improve my service levels, improve my delivery times, reduce my costs, increase my operational support for you. Whatever it is that organizations are looking for, we want that inked on paper. And then that way, it's going to drive actual value for them as they continue to operate. I'd say that's one of the biggest things.
Great answer. Thank you, Jane, and thank you, Marwan, for asking that question. We're going to move on now to our next speaker, and I am very happy to be able to introduce Anna Lakakova from CV Labs. And Anna, please begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you, John. Let's do it. Well, thank you so much for having me here today. As a career coach, I can't help but look at the career side of things today. I work with job seekers every single day, and I help them get hired faster. So to me, the pandemic, first of all, means a ton of developments and changes for your career growth. I know that this has sort of been the main theme of the year 2020, but I truly do see many, many positive developments and new trends that we can take advantage of in terms of getting hired for new roles and searching new work opportunities. The main trend is remote work. And although the remote work setup has its pros and cons, I do see it as a trend that is here with us to stay for the long run, and we may never fully go back to the old format of going to the office. Another hugely, hugely important trend, happier pets. I don't know if any of you guys are pet owners. My family has a dog, and he has been the happiest living thing on this planet because of how much time he got to spend with his owners. Because of how much uncertainty businesses are facing today, the remote workforce concept is now the new reality, which means that we'll be looking at a lot more job opportunities which are hourly based, project based, or temporary, which is also a great insight to think about. Another really important skill that a lot of people got to practice, not by choice, but because they were forced to, is video calling. I do believe that it is a really important skill, especially considering how many interviews are going to be conducted online versus in person. Definitely need some practice with that. Overall, I think the pandemic has taught us the importance of staying connected. And although we were supposed to stay isolated and in the lockdown, people have found new ways to build community and show support for one another. And that actually is closely connected to the concept of your online presence. And now people are looking at their online presence as a consistent process that requires some effort, investment, and some clarity and some work, meaning that it's not just fully random. Actually, the concept of online presence also goes in line with personal branding, which is still something very new to a lot of people, but building a strong personal brand is basically your only way to future-proof your career and have more work opportunities come to you rather than you having to seek them out all the time. Overall, I think we've discovered a lot more of new resources, and first of all, that means new resources within ourselves, because as Jane was saying, the pandemic has shown so many new challenges, but now we are more focused on solutions than ever. And the new resources can also come from online learning, which has been booming during the time of the pandemic, and now we're switching to this format for upskilling, learning, and professional development as well. And when it comes to your professional development, now more than ever, people are looking at future-proofing their careers. So your career development is no longer random, is no longer chaotic, kind of whatever comes, whatever goes, but it's a thoughtful and mindful process that you need to plan. And that means revamping your resumes. And finally, because of the pandemic, a lot of people found the time to revise their resumes and truly realize how important this one piece of paper can be for your career and professional future. And given the rising competition in the job market, it is the time to stand out. If you haven't been active on LinkedIn during the pandemic, you've missed out on so much, because LinkedIn has become the new place to be for online networking and just for hanging out. And it has seen one of the biggest boosts in activity throughout the time of the pandemic. Given how many changes have happened in such a short time span, I think we've realized more clearly than ever that we are our own biggest asset. So investing in yourself, in your human capital, truly does pay off. And if you're someone who is considering switching to a new career and a new industry, trust me, this is not the worst time to do that. There are some industries that are showing unprecedentedly high levels of job opportunities, and I would encourage you to consider industries like e-learning, IT, transport, e-commerce, social media. Those industries, again, are showing a long-term trend for growth. So if you're thinking that like COVID-19 has made all of the industries stop hiring and freeze their hiring processes, that's not true. Overall, I would agree with Jane here that the time of the pandemic has shown us that we're way more resilient than we give ourselves credit for. And this has been one of the most challenging and the most resourceful times at the same time. And in the spirit of staying connected, I would love to connect with you guys and share some stories. You can find me on LinkedIn. I also have a YouTube channel, so reach out to me on either of those, or you can also email me. I'd love to chat. And thank you so much for having me today.
Anna, thank you very much. You mentioned LinkedIn and how important it is nowadays for people to be active when they're seeking jobs or so on. So. But I know when I go on LinkedIn, I see a bunch of stuff from a bunch of people I don't know, and so on and so forth. Everyone seems to be sharing or writing or whatever. So for someone who's trying to use that tool to get their next gig, get their next job, how do you cut through the noise? Like, what do you recommend people start sharing content about or talking about when they use these tools?
That is a great question, John. One thing that many people don't realize about LinkedIn is that you have to help LinkedIn help you. And that means that if you're simply lurking in the background and looking at all of that noise and all of the stuff that is happening and thinking, well, this is not relevant, this is not interesting, that's not useful to me right now. The key is that if you don't show the algorithm behind LinkedIn platform that is the case, LinkedIn will never know, because they're not mind readers over there, and they have an algorithm of how things are going to work for you. So if you want to get more value out of LinkedIn, you have to engage. And that means that if you see something that interests you, that is relevant, a topic that is really important and you feel like it's really valuable, you need to do something about it. Even if it's just, sharing a short comment in terms of why you think that piece of content was useful, or why do you think this job opportunity could be relevant to other people in your network. Like you said, there's a ton of noise, and the best way to break through all of that and to cut through the noise is to also kind of portray that image of, I'm not just here to get something out of LinkedIn or out of my experience networking with all of you, but I'm actually here to give something as well. So if I can connect someone in my network with someone else, or if I can bring an opportunity that might be interesting to someone, I would do that, even if it means, directing them to the right resources and presenting them with some more information. So giving value before you expect to get something out of the process.
Now, just tying back to Jane's story there about her growth with her company. So she's a Calgary-based company. She's opening offices across North America. And I guess the traditional sense is you open a Montreal office, you hire someone in Montreal to be your account rep, sales rep, BD person, whatever. But in the remote world, obviously, she may not need someone physically in Montreal to do that work, at least not right away. So for folks that are trying to apply for some of these jobs that maybe are remote working now because they're not proximate to the city that the company is in, what kind of skills, what kind of things should people talk about on their resumes or on their LinkedIn profile, whatever, to say, yes, I can work in remote. Yes, I have been successful working from home or working remotely.
Well, definitely you can show some of the experience that you have working on remote projects. I mean, that's the obvious way to handle this for sure. But I think the main key, like the key to success in case of looking for remote opportunities is actually networking. Because imagine now if you are, let's say you're looking at a great work opportunity that could be a perfect fit for you. Now you're not just competing with the local professionals who are geographically close to that company, but you're competing with pretty much the entire country, or who knows, maybe that company even decided to hire people internationally because, well, they can also work remotely. I mean, the time difference is not a big problem for a lot of people. So amidst all of that competition, you really need to know how to formulate your value proposition, because anytime anyone hires, like any company hires anyone, they're looking to answer the main question: what's in it for us? What's in it for our company? What's in it for our business? And unfortunately, most resumes still talk about what's in it for the candidate, meaning I want career growth, I want this, I want that. So there's definitely that mismatch. But if you have your value proposition nailed down, the next step is to make sure that that thing gets in front of the employer's eyes. And that is a networking strategy. So finding people in that new location, getting connected with them, and then building that bridge towards that company that you want to get hired in or join the team of that company, building that bridge one by one. If it means making 10 new connections to get to that 11th that you really need, then that's what you need to do.
It's interesting because some of the things you're talking about with, personal advantage, value proposition, and so on. I mean, those are the skills we have learned, or for those of you will soon be learning in your marketing class. So it's taking what you learn in marketing and apply it to yourself.
Yeah, essentially that's what personal branding is kind of all about. Because if you think about it, you're looking for work, you're looking to build a career, you are always selling. You're selling your brand, which is your skill set, your experience, your background, your certain personal attributes that are unique to yourself. And you need to know how to market that. So your job search or your career is your self-marketing campaign, pretty much. That's why you need to think about yourself as a brand. And a lot of those concepts that we think, when we say branding, we think, oh, Apple or Coca-Cola, they are marketing their products. But those same principles apply to marketing yourself as a professional.
Kennedy in the chat asks, what is the first step when building a personal brand?
Understanding your competitive advantage. Again, I feel like I'm reciting a marketing textbook right now, but it's true. Because especially when we're talking about competition in the job market, a lot of people don't really know what they're good at. Like, I come across that every single day. I ask people that very simple question, like, why should this company that, let's say you want to work for Facebook, why should Facebook hire you? Like, why you and not me or someone else? And people get puzzled. They don't really know how to answer that question, or they give the same cliche answer that they Googled, and that's the problem. Then they sound exactly like 99% of other candidates. And then that makes it even harder for the employer to pick the right fit, like something that Jane was talking about in terms of not only your skill set, but also your values, your personality, your ambitions, your passion, all of that stuff. So really nailing down your competitive advantages, like what makes you different. And that can be a really challenging question to answer, but unless you know the answer, it's going to be really tough to compete.
Another question in the chat from Abdul, a question that's near and dear to my heart. Abdul wants to know, how important is the cover letter? And I hate writing cover letters. So, what suggestions, advice, inspiration can you give anyone who's trying to write one and not sound, and sound interesting?
That's actually a great question. I even did a 10-minute video on that on my YouTube channel. So if you guys are curious to kind of get more background and details, feel free to check it out. I guess the short answer is, your cover letter can be either a game changer or a completely useless piece of paper. And the only way how to make it count is what you put in it. Because a lot of people, like the majority of people, will tell you that they don't read cover letters, and they don't read them because so many cover letters are so boring. And that's the reality. So if you want to make it count, there are a couple things. Number one is, well, actually, put some effort in it, because if you think that a letter that starts with, I'm interested in applying for this role, is going to make a difference, it's not, because that's exactly what 99% of other people are going to put in there. So find a compelling opener, something that is fresh, something that is different. Maybe you talk about a challenge during the pandemic that the industry is facing. Maybe you talk about a company-specific piece of information. So something like that. And number two is finding ways to get more eyes on your cover letter, because surprisingly enough, if you simply attach a file to your application and you name it cover letter, then you are signaling to the hiring side that that might be that boring document that nobody wants to read. So use your cover letter, repurpose it as the text of an email if you're reaching out to someone directly, or put it as the top page of your resume before your actual resume. But then it needs to be a really well-crafted cover letter. But the more eyes you get on it, the higher is the chance that it's actually going to, to pretty much shift the odds in your favor.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Anna, so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to move into the last segment of our session today, what I'm going to call the open ask. As I mentioned previously, I think we have 30 some, maybe 40 people in our session today, working across industries, some in school, some working different sectors, different businesses, nonprofits, profits, so on and so forth. And in that group of people, that's the value, that's the power of this Haskayne MBA, being able to leverage this group of people to get something that you need. Maybe it's maybe you're looking for a new job, maybe you're looking for a connection, maybe you're looking for a mentor, maybe you're looking for a co-founder, so on and so forth. So I wanted to provide an opportunity for anyone to be able to just stand up and say, hey, my name is so and so, and I'm looking for X or Y or Z. So first, let me ask Jane and Anna, what can the current and future alumni of Haskayne help you with right now?
Well, I think we joked about this earlier, and this is probably going to be valid across the board for Anna and I, but any business owner really. I think right now we're in a time where organizations are, challenged in a different way, and they're being challenged by different pressures all across the board. And so what we're really trying to do at ETCH is be able to support these organizations with their procurement processes, be able to support them with their suppliers, and be able to support them throughout this very challenging period of time and help them reinvent themselves as they continue into this new world. So if anyone has any organizations, or if they work with any organizations that are looking for, a conversation, something to get started, ideas, things like that, I'm more than happy to connect. And as I mentioned earlier, we are actually doing a second wave of hiring. So if you want to search up our company on LinkedIn, you will be able to follow us. And when that's posted, I'm more than happy to chat and have conversations with folks who are interested in those types of positions as well.
And how about you, Anna?
Oh yeah, sorry. In my case, I know how hard it is for a lot of people who lost their jobs or have been laid off, or are kind of in a place right now where they don't really know what the next step in their career is. I know how tough it is to be in that place, because I see that every single day. And the importance of support in that case, even if it's one conversation, maybe it's some coaching, maybe it's some other referral or some other help in terms of leads and opportunities. So if you know someone who is in that position today, I would love to get in touch with them and help them in any way I can. And obviously, if that means that they can work with me directly, that's awesome. And if it means that I can refer them to someone who could be the best fit to help them, I'd be happy to do that as well.
Great, thank you. Now, everyone else in the audience, is anyone currently looking for a job, looking to maybe get into a different sector and wants to learn more about a certain company or certain type of business? Is anyone looking to start a business? Has anyone started a business and wants to do some customer discovery and try to find out if their ideas got legs? Is anyone looking for a mentor? Anyone looking for anything else? Please, how can this group help you get what you're looking for? Please type in the chat or turn on your microphone and ask away.
Hi Anna, this is Sue here. I am a first year daytime MBA student, and I want to know how difficult is it to make a change in industry, uh, and also functional role, but more change in the industry, say moving from energy to agribusiness or vice versa.
That is a great question, Sue. I'm not going to say that it's easy because those transitions are never really easy. But at the same time, that's what a lot of people are doing. And companies these days are more open to those industry shifters than ever because, well, when everybody is shifting industries, what else are you going to do? But obviously there are certain things that are different for someone who is looking to switch industries rather than someone who is, just gain experience in the same field. So I would say the biggest value is having a networking strategy. That for sure, that is your biggest asset in making a transition to a different industry or a different career. But at the same time, it still goes back to knowing how to talk about yourself, how to position yourself for that career. So if you want to learn more, I'm happy to get in touch and have a conversation. I can point you towards some resources. Like I said, I have like a ton of videos on the topic as well. So there's definitely a lot of information.
Okay, great. And so if anyone's working in the agribusiness sector, please contact Sue because she would love to learn more. Is anyone else looking for anything, or anyone need help? Sure. Gosh, I'm sure there's lots of folks out there. Please don't be shy. This is probably the most valuable network you're going to come across. We're all brothers and sisters. Okay. Well, if anything else does come up, please reach out to folks here. But the last thing I want to add is before we conclude the event here. There's a lot of ways to help out with alumni, with Haskayne, lots of ways to connect and with each other and support the school. So if you want to be a mentor, you want to participate in anything, please click on the link below and you'll get a list of different ways you can get involved with Haskayne and support future students, fellow students, as well as just be involved with all sorts of cool stuff going on. I see a few folks here. Abdullah's looking to get into mining, energy, and construction. I see there's Naman's here looking for someone close to electricity markets in Alberta. So maybe someone who works at Fortis or ENMAX or something else like that. I thought there was one other here. Maybe I missed it here. Okay. Great. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for participating. To our speakers, Anna, Jane, Miriam, and Suanne, thanks for sharing your stories with us and joining us this evening. Thanks to the Haskayne team for helping us make sure this event went off without a hitch, and I think it went really well. If anyone wants to contact Jane or Anna, there's their contact info there on the screen. We also have the email address for the Alumni Alliance if you want to learn more, join the board, participate in some more events and so on. Please do reach out there. But we're perfect on 5:45 p.m., which is where I said I think we'd wrap things up. So I hope everyone has a fantastic evening, and do send us some feedback about what you liked, what you didn't like, and if you'd like to see this again, or if you want to volunteer and be a speaker for the next event. Personally, I think we'd like to do one maybe in winter. So please put your hand up because everyone's got a story to share about something. So have a great night, and we'll see everyone at the next event.